Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of the NYFG podcast. We got a whole lot of stuff to talk about today. In today's episode, of course, we're going to be going over the second part of my offseason breakdown, focusing mostly on the draft and grading all of the picks, and a whole lot of other good stuff to talk about. But before we begin, just want to start off with a few things about the last episode. In the last episode, I kept saying next week's podcast. My goal with this podcast is to make it a show twice a week. Each episode is going to be focusing on the Giants and some news that comes out each week, as well as whatever topic we're actually talking about in the main part of the episode. So if you're interested in anything I have to say about the NFL or news as it comes out, follow me on Twitter at the NYFG Show and on Instagram at nyfg.show. Second thing I wanted to talk about from last week's episode was, and I felt a bit bad about this one, I was admittedly a little bit too mean about the Colt McCoy signing and the free agency part of the episode. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. Thought it was a pretty good first podcast, pretty excited. But last episode we talked about some of the free agency signings, and I broke down the Colt McCoy backup quarterback signing. And I was admittedly a little bit too negative or just kind of whatever about the signing. He's by all means a quality backup quarterback. It was a little bit too harsh. He's going to come in, play a role, help Jones develop, and be a solid backup with, not only injuries, but the coronavirus still being a problem that, players could just have to take 2 weeks off, and that's just something we're going to have to deal with. So a quality depth at quarterback is going to help a lot, and Colt McCoy is, by all means, a solid backup. And the last thing I want to talk about before we move on to the present and what we actually have to talk about in this episode is that if you like anything going on here at this podcast and you like the show, please, if you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe, comment any feedback, just anything helps. And then if you're listening on Spotify or eventually iTunes, download, share the show with all your friends, tell people about it. Anything really helps, just trying to get the show out there and really trying to get it off the ground. I think we got something here. So if you like anything here, just please leave some feedback, like, comment, download, share, all that good stuff. So with all that being said, let's get into the show. Before we get into the actual off-season breakdown and the recap of the draft, just want to talk about the news I kind of mentioned last episode but didn't really touch upon very much that has been coming out about the Giants. Specifically, Giants kicker Aldrick Rosas was involved in an alleged hit and run. Not a good look. He allegedly T-boned a car, tried to run away. He was found nearby with apparently blood all over his clothes. Just not a good look. I think this situation's a little bit different from the DeAndre Baker situation that happened this early offseason, where if you are unfamiliar with that, cornerback DeAndre Baker from the Giants, former first-round pick, was allegedly involved in an armed robbery. In this case, it's a Giants kicker. Like, with the DeAndre Baker situation, one, if they haven't cut him already, I feel like there's more information that hasn't come out yet. And two, they had so much more invested in Baker and so much more hopes for him. He was a first-round pick. Did not kill it in the beginning of the season last year, but had some good games towards the end. I believe his last 4 games were pretty solid. So they did have truly a lot more invested in him. That's probably why they'd be a bit slower to react to the situation. But in this case, it's the kicker. He was a Pro Bowl kicker a year or two ago, but really hasn't been great. I mean, the Giants' offense hasn't put him in position to be great, but just really, you don't lose that much cutting a criminal in the case of a kicker. Like, it's not like Daniel Jones or Saquon Barkley was involved in one of these cases, like where it just changes your entire franchise. I think in this case, it's just best to just move on, get rid of all the drama, just clean your hands of this. Move on, sign a new kicker. It's great to have a good kicker and like a reliable kicker, but they are replaceable. And you just can't have this look like, who are we, the Cowboys? Like, we can't have criminals all over the team. Two big news stories like this about just crime coming from the Giants locker room. It's not good to have in one offseason. They just have to move on from this. Cut the guy, move on, start fresh. Look for a potential signing of ex-Patriots kicker Steven Gostkowski, or even Bears ex-kicker Cody Parkey, famous for I'm sure everyone here is familiar with the double doink. That was all him. Or even one of the 4 or 5 Titans kickers that kicked for them last year. Look for any of those guys to be signed by the Giants. Not great, but honestly, it's the best we have. I'm not imagining that this team's a Super Bowl contender yet, so not having the best kicker in the league, probably not the biggest deal in the world, but it's just best to move on. Okay, now that we've talked about all that stuff, let's get into what we're really here for, the second part of my offseason breakdown, the recap of the Giants draft and how I feel about it. So with the 4th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New York Giants were in a bit of a tough spot. Of course, with Joe Burrow, quarterback from LSU, Chase Young, and Jeff Okudah off the board at this point, they were honestly in a bit of a tricky spot. With how the virtual draft was going, it was really hard to interview and really get a feel for everyone available, and it was even harder to really move up or down in the draft. Allegedly, the Giants, as well as many other teams, were desperately trying to trade down the pick and just could not do it. There were no suitors for them. It was pretty obvious the Giants were going offensive line. So you would have liked to see the Giants get a little bit more value out of the pick, and even if they were going to reach, you would have liked to see them trade down, maybe with the Chargers, so that they could get their quarterback. Reports came out prior to the draft that the Giants were interviewing Justin Herbert. No one really thought that was going to play out like that. They were ever going to move on from Jones that quickly. So it was pretty obvious that the Giants were just going to go defensive line. Maybe defensive tackle Derek Brown. People probably wanted Isaiah Simmons. Really, it's fine. I think the offensive line is so much more of a need, and protecting all the assets that we put into that offense is probably more important. So really not too worried about the fact that they went offensive line. Wish they could have traded down, but with the 4th pick, the Giants select O-tackle Andrew Thomas from Georgia. I mean, what is there to say? He's going to come in, immediately be the blindside tackle, move Nate Solder to right tackle, I believe, which is going to help the team a lot. Allegedly, he was the most pro-ready tackle in the class. That's going to help. You can't let Jones just get destroyed in the backfield, sacked all the time. It's going to cost you. So you have to invest a little bit in the line. On a lot of draft boards right before the draft, he was the consensus number 4 tackle, which is not great, obviously, but the Giants have been burned before with taking not as pro-ready tackles and investing high draft picks in them and not panning out. If you look back a couple of years at Eric Flowers, their first-round pick was a disaster at left tackle. So I can see why the Giants settled for a more pro-ready guy. Wish they could have traded down so that the reach wouldn't seem as bad. Really not worried about whether it was Tristan Wirfs or Mekhi Becton or Jedrick Wills, my bad. Because, honestly, what does anyone really know about who the best tackle in the class is? If Andrew Thomas's ceiling is a little bit lower, that's okay. He's going to come in and make an immediate impact in a year where, training camps and off-season camps are going to be a little bit different. You're not really going to get as much of a feel for the system. Development's going to be a little bit slowed down, just naturally. And so really not as worried about that pick and that he was the fact that he was the 4th overall ranked tackle. Because what does anyone really know about offensive linemen? So with the Giants' 2nd round pick, I was very much expecting pass rush. I was even expecting the Giants to trade back up into the 1st round to get a solid pass rusher, and that's just not what happened. The Giants just don't draft pass rushers. That's just the fact. or at least not early. It's not as easy to be upset about that when the Giants end up in the second round stealing a first-round talent safety, Xavier McKinney from Alabama, at pick 36 overall in the second round. Just stole this guy. I was a little upset right away when I saw it because I was like a little confused about where we were going with this. We already had Jabril Peppers, we already had Julian Love, we already had even like Antoine Bethea. So it was a little confusing, but this guy's just going to come in and be a game changer. He's a really pro-ready guy. I don't know how he slipped this late. You have to, take him there. If you let him slip anymore, they would just be a mistake. Hopefully he'll be the next Landon Collins. Hate to, put that much pressure on a guy, but if he can come in and be a game changer, that Giants defense, it's going to be something special. With the Giants' third-round pick, they select offensive tackle Matt Peart from UConn, pick 99 overall. What is there really to say? I was glad they invested so much into offensive line in this draft. They did take another offensive guard later. Not sure if he's going to come in and be a starter right away. Almost definitely won't be a starter right away with Nate Solder still on the team. But hopefully, after maybe a year or so, we can develop him, make him the starter, so that we can finally move on from Nate Solder and his terrible contract. That'd be great if he could come in and be that guy. He's not going to have to be the blindside tackle, which is good with investing the fourth overall pick in Andrew Thomas. So, hopefully he's got a little bit of upside. I haven't seen really anything bad or that particularly great about him. It's hard to really find a lot of information past guys on the second round unless it's a way steal that someone had in the third or fourth round. But, it's kind of hard to find stuff on this guy. I'm sure he'll come in and be solid if he gets the chance to really play. Probably won't early on with, I'd imagine, how off-season training camps are going to work this year. But hopefully he's going to be a guy for the future to build up that offensive line. With their fourth-round pick, the Giants select UCLA cornerback Darnay Holmes at pick 110. I was really excited about this one. I thought this was an absolute steal. Found out that they went Darnay Holmes, and I was just stoked. He's going to be their nickel cornerback, hopefully. I'd imagine he's probably going to have to compete with Julian Love for that, but he's going to get snaps either way. He's going to get playing time. Maybe early on just have to be a special teamer, but he's definitely going to be a guy for the future. They stole him, I thought. He's again going to be that nickel cornerback that they've invested a lot of draft capital in to find that guy. With their man coverage system, that's going to be a big deal. So they have put a lot of draft capital and just invested a lot into that spot, so they must really believe in this guy. Very athletic. I've heard a little bit undersized, but really in the fourth round, if you can find someone with that much talent, you have to take the shot on him. With the Giants' fifth-round pick, they select offensive guard Shane LeMahieu from Oregon at pick 150. I'm just happy to see that they're working on the offensive line. It's clearly been prioritized. They've invested a lot into it. Apparently, the reports have been that Joe Judge and Dave Gettleman both have been stating that he's going to get a look at center as well. He's going to be a more versatile guy. He's going to come in and play both center and probably a little bit of right guard. Probably not start at either, but he's going to come in and take snaps at both. He's going to be a versatile guy. It seems like the Giants have really been focusing on making a versatile system. The first interview with Joe Judge when he was talking about, some games we're going to throw it 50 times a game, sometimes we're going to throw it 10 and run the ball the rest. He's really working on building a versatile system, and I think that a guy like Shane LeMahieu is going to come in and just help with that. Hopefully he'll develop, be a stud. Obviously, they're just taking flyers past the fourth round. You go for the guy you believe in and just hope for the best. With the sixth round pick, the Giants select Penn State linebacker Cam Brown, and we'll actually go linebacker for the next two picks as well. They picked Cam Brown at pick 183. Really, I'm going to be honest, I don't know a lot about the guy. I'm excited. I hope he comes in and makes a difference. I think the starting linebacker core is going to be pretty set, but again, they are working on making that versatile defense, um, giving teams a ton of different looks, different types of blitzes, and how everyone's going to work in. Hopefully, he gets a shot. I still want to see the young guys like O'Shane Zimenez and all those guys develop and really, even like guys in the front or the defensive line like Dexter Lawrence and all them develop and become studs. But guys like guys like this will definitely help. And yeah, that's really not much to say about that, but I'm excited. Now this year the Giants had more seventh round picks than the Chargers have actual fans. They had a total of four seventh round picks. And they went linebacker for 2, taking Minnesota linebacker Carter Coughlin at pick 218, and South Carolina linebacker T.J. Brunson at pick 238. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't know a lot about the seventh round picks. Like I'm just gonna be honest. I'm sure I could read up on them and be like, oh, this guy's gonna come in and do this and blah 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 blah. And honestly, these guys are probably gonna be mostly special teamers, or just like deep rotational pieces, come in and be good depth. That's really all you want out of your seventh round picks. There's not a ton of like Tyreek Hill and Antonio Brown and Tom Brady's in the 6th and 7th rounds. Like that doesn't happen all that often, believe it or not. So you're trying to get some like take some flyers, hopefully athletic guys that could be like good rotational pieces. Hopefully that's all it is. With their next 2 picks, they go Minnesota cornerback Chris Williamson at pick 247. And I believe the Mr. Irrelevant of the draft, which is, of course, the last pick in the draft, Georgia linebacker Tay Crowder at pick 255, the last pick in the draft. Again, not going to pretend like I know a ton about those guys. I'm going to read up on them, give you like kind of a breakdown of basically everyone on the roster, hopefully, as the season goes on. But, again, probably just rotational special teams guys. Hopefully they all get a shot. Like I'd love these guys to come in, be great, be the next Tom Brady or the next whatever late round steal. But probably not going to get a shot right away with again how everything's going with the virtual training camps, and so you're just hoping for some good depth. Hopefully they'll be able to get a shot more like next year. But yeah. So I think that's going to pretty much wrap up the more in-depth breakdown of each individual pick. As you can see, I'm a little bit more positive about the draft than I was about the Giants free agency. I think we did a little bit more here than signing like the 77th ranked cornerback from Pro Football Focus and giving Blake Martinez $10 million a year. So I think we did a little bit better here. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a little bit more positive about all these picks. So as you can see, that's probably going to reflect in my grade. I'm not going to grade each individual player. It's just impossible to be like, people are giving like the Panthers picking Christian McCaffrey like a C, and now he's the best running back in the league or whatever. It's impossible to grade these guys without ever seeing them play. So I'm going to give them more grade based on the overall quality of the draft. So with all that being said, my grade is, ready, drum roll please. I know everyone's super duper excited about this to see what some random kid has to say about the Giants draft, and so get ready. But I'm gonna give it an A-. I think I'm really high on most of these guys. You get knocked a little bit from probably a little bit of a reach on Andrew Thomas and not being able to trade it through stuff that wasn't really the fault of their own. But it just the Xavier McKinney pick really saved the whole draft. That was such a steal in the second round, getting a true first round talent like him to come in from big school, big pro ready guy, really just saved the whole thing. And then got some quality depth, Matt Pert, Darnay Holmes, like guys like that. They're gonna be difference makers. They're gonna come in and be like real players, hopefully. Obviously, I don't know for sure. Again, just like free agency, I could be totally wrong. I could come in 3 months later or in 3 years or whatever and be like, you're an idiot. Darnay Holmes was the best cornerback in the entire class, and Xavier McKinney was like a total bust, and I wouldn't know. I could come back in 3 years and be like, yeah, this whole draft was an F. It was the worst draft ever. Who knows? I'm really high on a lot of these guys. I think they're going to come in and be a difference maker. That Andrew Thomas pick is just going to help the team so much. Like, it's going to help the entire offense. It's going to help Jones develop. And, they addressed positions of need. Like, they built the defense. They built the line. What more can you really ask for? Like, this process isn't going to be done overnight. This is how you rebuild a team. Like, I thought they did great here. Definitely better than last year's drafts, at least with not reaching as much, like a certain quarterback that we took 6 overall. But yeah, definitely, I thought this draft went pretty well. Was it the best draft of anyone? No, I'd probably have to give that to the Ravens. I think they killed it. But I think they did a good job here. I'm not gonna lie. I'm the first guy to rant and cry and scream about the moves that Dave Gettleman and the Giants are making, and I think that they did a really good job here. So with all that being said, I remember saying last episode that I thought, based just on the team last year and the moves they made in free agency, I thought the Giants could win a maximum of 7 games. That's not what I think about the team after the draft. I think the maximum they can win is around 9 games. They're not a Super Bowl contender yet. Like, let's just be honest. They're not going worst to first like the Niners did last season. That's just like the truth. Like, they're not ready to compete at that level. Could they make the playoffs based on all of this? I doubt it. I don't think so. But we're going the right direction. I mean, the division is wide open right now. The Eagles are just so banged up, and the Cowboys, like, who knows what's even going on with them right now. They've got so much money everywhere. I'm actually going to do, my next episode is going to be kind of an in-depth breakdown of the Dak Prescott situation and kind of the entire Cowboys team. So the division is open. Do I think the Giants are going to take it? No. I'm going to be honest. They're just not there yet. Maybe if you get a guy like Clowney or Byron Jones instead of the 77th best cornerback and whatever, in free agency, maybe you get a little bit closer. They're just not there yet. It's going to take a little bit more time. But the reason I titled this episode, How to Rebuild, I believe, the franchise or a team or something, is I think this is a step in the right direction. I'm hopeful that this draft and these moves that we've made this offseason are going to leave us to that, I just said last episode, that 8-8 season that the Browns had when they drafted Baker Mayfield and the Broncos had last year with Drew Lock. I hope that, this is everything we've done will help Jones develop and the defense just not be so awful. So I'm hoping that these moves and everything are going to bring us to that 8-8 season. I think that that's what we really need. We need to get that 8-8, give us some hope, feel like we can go out into free agency and spend because we're a contender now, and then use your draft picks to really build up the team. I think this is how we start. The thing about the Giants is that every time it looks like they're going in the right direction, Dave Gettleman will just do something so insane that it completely blows it up. Like, it's hard to even be so mad at Dave Gettleman because, he'll go and he'll draft Daniel Jones at 6 overall, and it's a crazy reach. And then, but, Jones is fine. Jones is good. He had a good rookie season, minus some turnover issues. But, Dave Gettleman, he does this. He gives you some false hope, and then the Giants win 4 games, and he blows up the team. And it's just, hard to really believe anything, I thought he had, the worst draft in history last year. And then, Darius Slayton was a great pick. Great pick. Absolute steal. That's the thing about Dave Gettleman and the Giants. You don't really know where the team is going. This draft looks like they're going the right direction, and I really hope so. But I hope that they just follow this pattern because I do believe this is how you rebuild the team. Just stop pretending like we're a real contender right now. Try to win some games, give some fans some hope, and then really go all out maybe next year or the year after that and really make a contender. With all that being said, probably going to end the episode right here, or just end talking about the offseason breakdown. That's going to be pretty much it. If there's any big moves this offseason, daily reminder that Jadeveon Clowney is still a free agent, Mr. Dave Gettleman. If you would like to go sign him, that'd be pretty cool. I think a lot of Giants fans would really appreciate that. But if there's any big moves the Giants make this season, I'll cover it in another episode. But overall, I think this pretty much sums up the off season. Really not too much else to say about it. Like the draft and free agency, that's the entire off season, right? So hopefully these guys develop. I'm looking for, you know, the Giants to take the next steps, and I think that's really what's important here. So with all that, thank you guys so much for listening. Again, if you like what you see here, this is a brand new show. Really trying to get this off the ground. Please tell everyone you know. Share it out there. Tell some Giants fans. Like, I know there are other people out there that feel my pain, that understand me. You know. So just share it around. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter again. DM me information about any of these late round guys that I might have gotten wrong, or who knows. Even if I pronounce something wrong, like, just let me know. It'd be great to hear. Again, love this team. So if I'm overly negative about it, it's because they've hurt me so much in the last few years, and I'm something I care about. So, but yeah, if you like the show, please just share it around. The show is going to be, I just found out, on iTunes from now on. Just got approved today. So if that's how you prefer to watch your podcast rather than YouTube, go watch it there. Pretty stoked to have it on there. And yeah, just thank you guys so much for your support. Please like, comment, subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, share, whatever. But yeah, thank you guys so much, and that's going to be it.